So the fun just started, guys. Telepathic communication.
Your favorite topic.
It's a favorite topic. And I'm sure a lot of people are going to be like, why am I so interested? Guys, wait and listen to the stories that Cherece are going to share with us. And I'm sure a lot of people, Cherece, will definitely ask, what is animal communication?
So with animal communication, we work with energy. So each being gives off energy. And I tap into that energy telepathically. So I can hear animals, I can smell what they are relaying to me. If an animal's favorite food, I mean, I've had animal making me taste ice cream. which is their favorite. So I use all my senses when I connect with them telepathically via their energies. So it's all energy related, which means that I always have to have my energy levels quite high. And that is my favorite part, is not tasting everything because
Some of it is.
I am a vegetarian and tasting chicken is not that great, but
Have you tasted kibbles?
I've tasted kibbles. I have, there's something else I have tasted which a dog loves to eat.
Interesting.
I had to actually close that session because it was incredibly, that was too much. And that's a taste I'll never forget.
Can we get that story? I mean, you've already hinted it. Can we just get the full story?
I know that that parent is going to be watching this. So, yes, there was a problem with the dog eating the cat's poo. And the dog told me that how much he enjoyed it. And he was like, yeah, taste.
Oh.
So,
how did you go about?
Yeah, so I smelt it and I tasted it. So it's because they can allow me to taste and whatever they want me to taste, or their favorite things. So.
What was the taste?
No, it's too traumatic to relive it.
I'm sorry, we're making fun of your troubles here, but
it's okay.
That was hilarious.
It was a troublesome one.
So what did the pet parent say, seeing you reach for the litter box?
I think it was outside, or I can't remember what it was. When I do communication, I actually go into a whole different zone, so I don't always remember what is said. Okay. So I'll remember snippets. But, so with that animal, during that communication, that stood out to me. And I was like, I'm going to be traumatized for life,
But it's okay.
Yeah, but it's okay. It's fine. But yes, there's some very fun things that happen with communication.
I can imagine.
Animals, they have no filter. They will just tell you what they want to tell you. And, I worked with this one horse once, and he always kept saying, if he was upset about something, this is unacceptable. That was or still is his favorite words. And, sometimes I'll be working on an animal. Sometimes I'll be working on an animal for a whole different person. And all I hear is, this is unacceptable. And I'm like,
Who's
just
gentleman?
I know exactly, when I hear those words, I know exactly who I'm talking to, and then I have to make a phone call. I'm like, please, can you check what's happening? So, it's like little things like that, it's so rewarding and so entertaining. It's the best thing. I absolutely love my job.
I need to accompany.
Right. But I don't think she'll be able to hear.
No.
It's a gift thing, right?
Well, yes, it is a gift, but anyone can actually, try and hone in on that skill. Some people are more prone to being able to hear animals than others. But yeah, we're actually all born with it. It's just that we lose it
Must
at
be
a very
exciting
young
for you
age.
Yeah.
to know. It's very exciting for her to know that she
Yeah.
can actually.
Yeah, I've got a lot of parents who I have taught how to speak to their animals as well, taught them how to hear them, especially for the ones who have passed
nice.
away. Yeah.
That is nice, hey?
Yeah.
And my sister here is a skeptic.
You know,
I'm on the fence.
She's on the fence about this whole
it's
telepathic
okay,
communication.
It's okay. I'm used to the ones who sit on the fence.
But I'm sure you had to be a skeptic before you actually knew that you could. No.
Yes. I'm still a very big skeptic when it comes to, the human side of it. I don't know why. I'm the most skeptical person you'll ever meet. But, I've had a lot of clients who's also been very skeptical. I tend to try and not work with those people because it does affect my energy.
Oh, yes.
And I can get incorrect readings from that. But, I once worked with a dog, and the dog's mom wanted me to work with the dog. It was a behavioral case. And the dad was a skeptic, and he didn't really believe in anything. So she didn't tell him that I was working with the dog. And the one day I'd been working with the dog for about 3 days, and he was like, there's something wrong with this dog. He's acting much better. I don't know what we're doing differently. And then she said to him, oh, no, I got the animal communicator to work with him. And he was like, oh, okay.
I'm sure he started believing then. Like,
Yes, no,
but,
then he wasn't a skeptic anymore. So, I think it just takes that one little thing to change a skeptic.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that was going to be my next question. If you've turned anyone into a believer, but then for sure.
Yeah. I'm sure you've had instances where you had to pat yourself on the back like, I turned you.
Yes. Yeah, no, that often happens where I'm like, very happy with the communication. It went well. And you can actually feel a change in the person, the way they speak. And I think the most, when I really know I've converted them, is when they contact me again for another reading. And I'm like, oh, so I did convert you. That's nice. I'm glad.
Never thought you'd call, hey?
Yeah, no, they absolutely, that's when I pat myself on the back when I get the callbacks and like, hi, can you please talk to this one now?
And do they usually come for a different pet, or is it usually the same?
Some the same.
Okay.
Some different. I mean, I had one case where the lady booked for one animal, and I think she kind of just wanted to suss it out. And then, the next week I got a booking for 4 of her animals. So, she trusted me enough to actually say, okay, let's go ahead and work with all the animals.
Wow.
That is
big
quite
up to that, hey? And I'm such a curious person. I know I'm not the only one who'd be curious to know, do they have different voices, or
Yes.
do they hold is it a squeaky voice? Is it a
What do they sound like?
what do you hear? Is it like a human voice? What do you hear?
It is like a human voice. It's I normally try and explain the voice as best I can. If I know an actor with a similar voice, I'll say to them, okay, it sounds like this actor, just so they can kind of get an idea. But, I'll say to a person that this animal sounds like a very bubbly voice, or a very soft, melodical voice. Sometimes they sound a bit snobby. It just depends on the animal. But yeah, they do speak differently. I once spoke to a squirrel. He spoke so fast. I mean, the way a squirrel runs?
Yeah.
That's how fast they talk.
Really?
Yes.
And what was the circumstance surrounding the squirrel?
So he was actually in rehabilitation. He was busy getting ready for release. So I needed to help. They call it wild him.
Okay.
So he went from he had to go from being tame to becoming a wild squirrel. And when I was trying to wild him, he was like, the first time I connected with him, he was like chatting away, but at rapid speed. And yeah, he was eventually released into the wild. So yeah, he became a little wild one.
Yeah.
But squirrels can be, they're feisty little things, eh? Yeah.
They have personalities as well.
Yes. Oh, everyone's got a separate personality.
Yeah.
Absolutely everyone. When I connect to an animal, so what I do is I get the photo of the animal, and then I'll say to the parents, okay, would you describe your animal as having this personality? And that is for me to check that I've got a proper connection with that animal. If the personality doesn't match, then I need to investigate why it's not matching. Am I connecting to a different animal? And then, or the person is just not sure that this is the actual personality that's coming through. Once I'm happy with that, then the session starts, because then I know my energy is synced with that animal.
Sure. That is
quite interesting. And because you meet the parents first, have you ever seen like a similar personality from a parent and the animal once you start communicating?
I don't really know, because I don't go out to the, I don't physically see the animal. I work remotely, so I can work from anywhere in the world. I mean, I've worked with animals all over the world. So I can just sit at home and relax with a cup of coffee and speak to them. So with regards to the clients who I know, I wouldn't say the personalities always match.
Okay.
They'll have like little mannerisms, say the same thing that the parents do, you know, like, especially with your Afrikaans animals, they'll use like, yeah. A lot of Afrikaans animals will be like, yeah.
You know you have the right one.
Yes, yeah. So, no, but I wouldn't say they're the same personality, no. No.
So you're Cherece International.
Listen.
Yes, I've worked with animals all over.
Everywhere.
Yes, yeah. No, I've worked with the fox in Ireland. I worked with some dogs in Portugal, some horses in the States. I've worked with dogs in New Zealand, Australia. Yeah, all over, all different languages as well.
And the ones in Ireland, did they have an Irish accent?
No, no, but for fun, I gave them.
When you're translating.
I once did a cat in Britain, and I just decided, you know, for the fun of it, let's give him a British accent.
I told you this was fun.
So, you know, I also have to, like, you know, have fun while I'm doing it.
Yeah.
And do they communicate in that language? Do they use like Irish or?
So animals, communication is a universal language. So I can speak in absolutely any language to an animal. So, but I will always translate it into English, because I can understand. So like I said, Afrikaans dogs will often say, or animals will say, yeah. So those animals overseas will have like little things like that they say that I don't understand, but I speak to them in English.
So have you ever communicated with a pet that has passed away, and how did that go?
Yes, so speaking to animals who have passed away is one of the most common types of communication that I do. And every animal is different, and what a lot of animals do is they build their own little piece of heaven. And I absolutely love seeing what they do with the place, you know, as I call it, you know. So I did work with a dog who, it's two dogs who actually built a tower of sticks, because they love sticks. It actually looked like a beaver had gone haywire, and there was just this big pile of sticks. So they actually regular clients of mine. They absolutely have so much fun. They also have a pet horse.
Oh, the dog.
Yeah, they never even seen a horse in their life, and this random horse just popped up one day, and I was like, okay, that's a bit of a strange one. But yes, no, I often do, and a lot of people find a lot of solace in me speaking to their animal. It helps, it really helps the parents when they know that the animal is safe and they're happy, and they just want that peace of mind. And it also helps the parents. It's almost like a counseling session in a way, I would say, for the parents, just to have that calm space.
Get closure.
Yes, get closure.
What's the most rewarding part of being an animal communicator?
I think that the most important part is just knowing that I can bridge the gap of a language between a person and their animal. It's something that is so important to do, and it is absolutely so rewarding knowing that I can pass a message on to the pet parent as well as the pet parent's message going through. Now, most animals hear the questions from the pet parents even when I'm not connected, but it also allows them to know that, their questions are being answered by that animal. And that is what is, extremely rewarding, is just having the ability to bridge that gap. To me, that's the most important.
So have you ever had complaints from pets for like food, where they're sleeping or things like that?
Yes, so that happens so often. Animals will let you know when they're happy, but they will definitely let you know if they're unhappy. Some complain about, not having enough space on the bed. Not liking a certain dog. There is absolutely no filter. They have no problem letting you know that they're unhappy with something.
Straight talkers.
They're like little kids that, they'll just say what they want to say. But if they want to complain, they will tell you.
Yeah.
And that actually, with regards to me doing behavior work, that I have to get all the complaints, so I did have a cat who was complaining about the type of litter. He didn't like the way it fell under his feet, and then he didn't like the food, he didn't like the bowls that he was eating of. Like, he gave me this long list of things that needed to be changed, and now I need to ask the poor parents to change all this stuff. And fortunately, the parents usually do what needs to be done. But yes, it's just... It's a lot. It's a lot.
It's almost like they were waiting to tell you.
Yes, yeah. I once worked with a parrot that wasn't happy with the color of the cover that was over the cage at night. So they've got no filter, and they are not scared to tell you if they're unhappy with something.
I'm sure as soon as they see, like, where have you been? I've been wanting to voice this out.
Too much on my chest. There's too much on my chest.
No,
I'm sure they're like, finally.
I had a cat once. He gave me his, what was wrong before he even said hello.
Oh my God.
And he was just listing everything. And I'm like, okay,
Calm
down. We do have time to address all your issues. How about you say hello first?
Manners.
Yes, manners. I think some of them don't realize, they don't really have a concept of time. So they don't understand that, I will get there.
Yes.
Just say hello to your family.
They just want to voice everything out.
I mean, to be fair, if they're 5, they have 5 years worth of complaints that they haven't been able to voice. So
that is very, very, very true. That is very true.
That is interesting. And would you say that there's different personalities between the species that you've noticed?
Yes. So it depends on the species, what their learned behavior is, what the type, each species have a different way of doing things, time of day that they like to go out, what's in their DNA, basically. So each species is different.
So, and have you had an animal complain about the environment where, like, a pet parent had to relocate, or maybe?
Yes, so that happens really often. Animals don't like not being consulted. And I've had quite a few animals who have moved with their parents, and then they get upset and they say, but I was never asked. I was just, you never got my
Permission.
To move.
Didn't tell me.
I've worked with animals who say, okay, we can go back now. They don't understand the concept that someone has bought the house or there's new people living there, and they just like, no, we can go back. It's not a problem. I really want to go back. So those are normally animals who are not settling in the environment, and I do behavior work with them, and I have to explain to them, you can't go back. But I do also explain to them that is a house. It's not a home. Home is where your family is. And I have to just basically drill that into them and say to them, your family is still with you. All your brothers, sisters, moms, dads, they're all with you, and that's what makes it a home. So, yeah, it's quite sad when they complain about moving, but unfortunately that is a way of life. But a lot of people these days are actually contacting me to prepare the animals for moving and saying to them, okay, look, this is the situation, this is what's going to happen, and they settle a lot better purely because they've been told. If you've got a cat or a dog and you plonk them in the carrier or in the car, you drive and then you end up at the new house, let them out and just go like, here we go.
Where are we now?
Yes, what are we doing here? When can we go back? So it's very important to prepare an animal for absolutely anything. I mean, vet visits, car drives, holidays.
And it's very fair, because even with us, you need to prepare yourself.
Yes.
Especially if you're doing like a big move, you need to prepare yourself mentally, emotionally. So I'm sure they also do need like that communication between the parents and the fur baby.
Definitely.
So a person who is not an animal communicator or who is a skeptic, what is the easiest way that they can tell the pets this, that, okay, you're going to get your injections today? Like, is there ways that you can work around that?
Yes. So when you communicate with an animal, you have to speak from a place of love. Okay. If you say to them, look, a lot of people prefer to just speak to them with words out loud. I don't speak out loud, but you can say to them out loud, I do love you. This is what we're going to be doing today. I know it's going to be scary. This is what will happen. The vet will feel you, or the doctor will feel you, make sure that you're all in good health. You might get a poke. You have to speak to them like you would a 2-year-old and explain it to them like you would a 2-year-old. So, you're not going to say, oh, you're going to have an injection for stomatitis or something like that. You're going to say to them, you're going to have an injection for your anar or your sore place or your mouth. And once you speak from a place of love, that actually allows communication to start flowing. So even if you can't hear them, they can hear you.
That is quite interesting. Yeah. That is quite interesting.
My definite take home is that human babies and fur babies
very similar.
Very similar.
Yeah, they just cry less.
Yeah. They put the same amount.
Yes.
And complain more, but then they wait for you to come.
Yes. At least you don't have to pay as much for them. No schooling.
Yeah. Well, for behavioralists and training and puppy school.
Well, that's true. That is also true. People.
Exactly. I feel like it's just like having actual children at the end of the day.
No, definitely. Definitely.
So we had a guest recently who told us that they had to take their pet to a psychologist for behavioral problems, right? So what is the one takeaway that you want people to get from this in terms of telepathy, animal communication, animal psychologists and things like that?
Okay. Communicators and animal behaviorists can work very closely together. But I am a qualified animal behaviorist as well. So I have that side that I can, understand the behavior, the basic behavior, and then the communication. And I actually put those two together when I do my behavioral consultations. So say an animal is depressed, I will guide the parents through how to approach it, not only from a communication point of view, but also behavioral point of view. But I find that communication is actually more effective, from experience. I'm not just saying that to,
Because you're a communicator.
Because I'm a communicator. It's just because I have found when I only do behavior work, the success rate does come down a little bit, whereas the success rate with communication goes up a little bit. The reason for that is you don't truly understand what an animal is feeling and what upsets them until you've actually spoken to that animal and they've said to you, this is what the problem is. And then you can have a behavioral approach to that. But sometimes even just them speaking about it fixes everything. I have had cases where I did one session with an animal because it's normally multiple sessions. There have been cases where I've just had to do one session with an animal. The animal gave me all the problem, everything there was a problem. And I never had to do follow-ups with them because
That's nice.
the animal just needed to talk about it.
Yeah. Just wanted to be heard.
Yes, he just wanted to be heard, and most of them just want to be heard. And that is the most important thing that I want people to know is animals want to be heard. And they can be heard through a communicator.
Very vocal.
Locally, and if they want to complain, they will.
Yeah.
So Cherece, someone at home who would want to reach Cherece International, you need to change your account name to Cherece International. So someone at home who would want to reach out to you, how do they get a hold of you?
They can contact me via email at cherecedub@gmail.com, or they can visit my website or Facebook page at Gaia's Gift, animalcommunications.co.za.
Thank you so much, Cherece, for coming. I'm such a curious person. I've been asking all the pet parents if they believe in telepathic communication. So if you guys are just as curious as I am, we can have a conversation in the comment section. So we can have Cherece on another episode where she'll be able to answer all your questions, which are animal communication related.
Yes. So thank you so much again for tuning in. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. We'll see you guys next time.
Bye. Bye.